We take a look inside a federal program changing lives, offering inmates an opportunity to pursue higher education behind bars. But not everyone thinks it's a good idea. Here's ABC's Steve Olsensami.
Do you have a prison number?
Yes, 95486.
95486.
Yes.
34-year-old Simon Garcia still has 7 more years at the state prison in Ellsworth, Kansas, where he hopes he's paying his debt to society.
I've been in prison, I've been incarcerated all my life since I was 12 years old. That initially was just gang related, and it was an aggravated assault. I thought that I was the king of my world, and I had it all going on, but I was so broken and messed up inside.
And he admits he was no angel in lockup. Just a short while in, he added 10 more years to his time when he was trying to hide a homemade knife and shoved a corrections officer off a second-floor balcony outside his cell.
Do you regret any of that?
Of course I do, man. I'm regretting it right now. 20-something years in prison, I'm gonna be regretting.
But today,
Frank Relmar.
on this warm afternoon,
Vernon Faulkner.
he's more than just prisoner 95486.
Simon Garcia, Associate in General Studies with Honors.
He is graduating from college while still in prison, and all because of the Pell Grant.
I went from 1 class a semester to 5 classes, being a full-time student in prison, which was awesome because I feel accomplished. I feel like I was finally doing something legit, you know, like I'm really doing this.
Congratulations again.
The prison system is proud of the work they're doing here and wants people to see this. About a dozen convicted men, many who never finished high school on their own, all graduating with associate's degrees from a nearby junior college with tears in their eyes.
Yeah, it was overwhelming, man. And all my friends were there, so I got a lot of love here in this prison.
It's become possible after a change in federal policy last June.
Good afternoon.
When the federal government once again allowed prisoners to get Pell Grants.
Number 30. Okay.
A Pell Grant is need-based financial aid that helps undergraduate students from low-income households. And now men and women in jail can use Pell Grants again to pay for college courses held inside state and federal prisons. In America, taxpayers spend billions to keep people like Garcia in prisons, only to send them back into society with no education and no job, which helps explain why 68% end up getting locked up again within 3 years of their release, the poorest success rate in the world. His sister and mother, who've been through the highs and lows, drove all day to get here.
With my brother walking across the stage, it was very emotional. And very emotional for me. Because he's struggled a lot, even though he is incarcerated and he did it here, but it was done. Education is something that can never be taken away from him, and hopefully he'll utilize it for the rest of his life, you know, when he comes out.
People would say prison is punishment and that you didn't deserve the opportunity to go to college while you're here.
Yeah, prison is punishment, but I mean, we're suffering regardless if we're going to college or not. And I feel like education helped me gain the power to break free from shackles of ignorance. Nobody's too far past redemption, including myself, obviously, yeah.
It was former President Bill Clinton who stopped giving Pell Grants to prisoners when he put his signature on the federal crime bill of 1994, an answer to the crack cocaine epidemic of the early 90s. And one of the proud lawmakers whose hand he shook immediately after signing the law was none other than its author in the U.S. Senate, our current president, Joe Biden.
I think the reason that people in prison lost eligibility for Pell Grants in 1994 was really just part of our larger tough on crime attitude at the time as a country. And so it was seen as another way to be punitive and to take this away from people who are in prison.
But in 2016, the Obama administration ran a test offering Pell Grants to prisoners again. And they found that for every $1 spent educating inmates, they saved up to $5 in prison costs. And a study showed that the likelihood of an educated inmate returning to prison was reduced by 48%.
And that means there are fewer crime victims, there are more people living freely in the community. And at the end of 2020, the law was changed, and that restores Pell Grant access to all people in prison, regardless of their conviction, type or their sentence length.
I'm going to let you let me in. Okay.
42-year-old Roy Maney is now applying for the Pell Grant. He took us to the metal bunk where he does his homework, just a few feet from a toilet he shares.
This is it.
This is it.
This is where I do a lot of my studying and stuff. Wednesday, I have English Comp 1 from 6 to 9.
Now, if you have questions, please ask.
Thursday, I have computer concepts and applications also. And then Friday, I have a math study group. And Saturday, I'm studying. So I'm busy all week.
Of all the men we met, he's in prison for the most violent crime, convicted of second-degree murder for killing 30-year-old Tiffany Mogensen when he sped away from a police officer and crashed into the beloved dance teacher's car. We reached out to her father for this story, who had strong feelings about his daughter's killer getting a subsidized education, telling us to share a quote from Maya Angelou that says, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." He wrote that the balance between punishment and rehabilitation is always tough for a victim's family. I truly doubt that any continued education will assist him in his life after prison. So to me, this is an additional slap in the face for all who supported Tiffany. They now get to pay for this government boondoggle. The state of Kansas says that Roy Maney could be released in 3 years.
I mean, I feel horrible. It tears me up.
What do you say to people who say, well, should we be giving federal money to people who are in prison?
Would you want someone, would you want the person that don't have a degree to be your neighbor, or a person with a degree? These inmates that people just say, oh, forget about them. They could be your neighbor. Why write them off? Everybody deserves a second chance.
Don Langford is their prison warden.
What I would say is everyone's made a mistake in their life, okay? And I've made my share, and I've been given opportunities. And by giving those GEDs and second grant Pell Grants, it gives men and women that opportunity to learn something that they may have never learned.
Casey Tetmeyer is one of their college professors.
It's not just about the grade for them, it's about truly learning and truly polishing their skills and becoming better versions of themselves.
Right now, 35-year-old Taryn Keith is one of their success stories. Hard drugs were his demons, and he's been in and out of state penitentiaries his whole adult life.
In the past, when I would get released and, I would go apply for jobs, just, having, I don't know necessarily if it was having the felony check mark on the application. It just seemed like I'd get no response, so then I'd fall back into my old habits,
But this time, he walked away from prison last summer with an associate's degree in applied science, a 4.0 grade point average, and a job building windows already waiting for him at home.
Being able to get that education and then landing that job made things the transition a lot easier.
Most companies refuse to hire convicted felons, but his new employer desperately needs skilled and educated labor to build his architectural German windows and has agreed to interview men at the prison.
I was skeptical that he would show up the first day. 10 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have never seen myself employing convicts. And so far, so good.
We're gathered here to celebrate and validate this graduation ceremony. Today, this means freedom and opportunity.
Number 95486 says that before he leaves here, he'd like to earn a master's degree that he'll use on the outside. For the first time in his life, he says he feels he has the tools to become a better man.
I've never felt this happy in my life, and I'm in prison, and I still have 7 years to go. I don't feel negative at all. I don't feel like anything bad's gonna happen, and if it does, I'm ready for it.
Our thanks to Steve.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.